Best tattoo pens on Amazon. Bit of a clickbaity title, but to be fair, I haven't tried every tattoo pen on Amazon. That's just crazy. There are way too many. I would say each of these is great for their own reason and would work to tattoo based on what you're looking for. So if you're interested in checking that out, come on with me and watch the rest of this video. We're gonna go from most affordable to most expensive and find out which machine fits your budget and style of tattooing. First up, we have the CNC Q2 weighing in at just 108 grams. It is the lightest and least expensive machine in this review. This Q2 is a versatile starter machine that can line and shade. Because it is so light and small, it pairs with the battery quite well, especially one that goes off at 90 degrees, not taking the balance off too much. This particular Hallwink is now coming in a starter package with the CNC Q2. One of the trade-offs to be made with the CNC Q2, it is a light machine, but you can feel the vibration of the motor quite a bit. Not a deal breaker, and with ergo tape and memory foam grips, this can be dampened. So let's see if I can show you. A little rattly, a little noisy. Let's see how it does on some fake skin. So to run my test, I'm gonna start with a 9-round liner here. It's a large needle grouping, standard gauge, bigger needle. Should be a better test for seeing how well the ink gets into the fake skin. This is Real Skin, REELSKIN. You can find it online. It's a great way to practice before you get to human skin, and I would highly recommend that, as I am taking my time making sure personally I am good at this before I start on people. Okay, got it in. Needle depth is pretty long right now, so we're gonna spin it till the needles are not showing while the machine's off. Turn her on. Of course, we're not going to cover the grips because we're not actually tattooing people right now, but this will inevitably be covered by a bandage or some kind of grip. Adjust my needle depth again. For the Real Skin, not too much. All of these rotary pens are set to a fixed cam length. So the CNC Q2 should not need as high of a voltage to run a good line because it's a smaller motor, not because it's more powerful. We're at an 8.2. There's a line. This Real Skin does not like the green soap, so a little bit of A&D ointment will get off the residue. Not the nicest line I've pulled, but there you have it. Nice solid black 9-round line there at an 8.2 voltage. Let's see how it does a little lower. There's a line at 7.2. Getting slightly less bold there. So a good line, you could probably get it at 8.4 volt or so with that machine. Let's go up just for sake of going up a little to an 8.8. It all depends on your hand speed, so. But I think what we're showing here is that all these machines can do the job or get the job done. It's more about comfort, power, looks, longevity, stuff like that. Okay, so we got a nice solid line pull on the CNC Q2. That one's a little choppy. Turn up the voltage a little, see how it does with the one pass line. This is a 10. It gets noisy here, but I could probably move a little faster and get that single pass. But yeah, I had to turn it up quite a bit for that. Okay, well, we'll see how it compares to the other ones. Let's move on. All right, so we have the CNC Q2 up first for a little bit of stipple and whip shade with the 3-round liner. Let's see how that goes. Gonna lower that voltage to a 6.5. I'll just take it up to 6.8. Now this fake skin isn't great for testing out shading because it takes a lot more work to get the ink in, but let's give it a shot with some mag. The CNC Q2, try out a mag at a 6.5. Okay, so we did a little color packing, little shading, little whip shading. With the CNC Q2, seems to be capable of everything at a 6.5 for this fake skin. Looks good. The next one up we have is the Mast Archer, coming in at 186 grams, which is about 80 grams heavier than the CNC Q2. It is the heaviest machine on the list, but that's also because it includes the weight of its 2000 milliamp battery. This is the simplest, easiest way to get started tattooing without having to worry about wire or extra batteries. Not too bad looking either. It runs quietly and feels very solid. That extra weight seems to dampen the vibrations of the motor. Let's try it out. Beautiful display, built-in battery. We don't know who makes the motor, but we're thinking it's a 2-watt motor, similar to the CNC Q2. Of the 4 machines in our review, the Mast Archer is probably the simplest, easiest way to get started tattooing because you don't have to worry about wire or extra batteries. It's all built in. It runs quietly and feels very solid. That extra weight seems to dampen the vibrations of the motor. It comes with 2 disposable grips and a beautiful box, which you can use as a carrying case. Although slightly more expensive than the Q2, the fact that you don't have to buy a power supply or battery makes the Mast Archer a winner for the tattooist on a budget. Let's test out the Mast Archer on some fake skin. No click there, just tighten it in, all in one. Bring the voltage down to 8.4. I have a feeling this is a slightly bigger motor, so it's going to take a little more voltage to get the line we want. I'm going to change this needle depth. A heavier machine. Not getting that 1 pass line because it's a bigger motor. So that's a good example of what that means. An 8.4 volt is not going to be high enough on the Mast Archer. So it obviously has a bigger motor. So let's try going up to a 10 here, and even a 9.5. Again, a lot of this is determined by hand speed. I'm just trying to do what's comfortable for me right now. I keep turning on my power supply, but this is that sound is not the mast. There's a really nice line. Okay, yeah, so you can see a little difference there. There's my 9.5 with the mast. So you're gonna wanna have higher voltage to get cleaner lines. Looking a little more steady than my CNC Q2, as I do find this one to be a little more awkward. Let's see how the mast does a little higher. out of 10. Pretty solid black line there, looking good. Similar voltage, I would say, though, for as the CNC Q2 to get that one pass line. I do see it in my eyes here. We can show you a little closer later, but I do feel like it's a darker line. Maybe you're gonna get a better pass with the mast than the CNC Q2. Let's try a little more lining with it. I can't not hit that when it's here. A little choppy. Let me slow down my hand speed. So if you're not getting that single pass line, probably just want to slow down your hand speed or increase your voltage and keep your hand speed the same. That's a beautiful line. Just slow it down a little bit. Next up, got the mast again. 15 round mag. The mast always starts with a bang, and then it drops down to whatever voltage you got it at. We'll go with a 6.5 like we started with the CNC. Let's do a little shading. Keep shading. Success in all three areas as well. Our third entry to this review here is another CNC machine, the MX1, which sports a 5-watt Swiss Maxon motor. A Swiss motor. Little side note, Maxon has built the motors for several of the Mars rovers, so you know these are top of the line. And you can really feel it with this machine. It is a very powerful motor and a fairly large pen body weighing in at about 182 grams. That does not include the weight of a battery, which the manufacturer does not recommend you use with this pen. This is the kind of pen you'll want if you're doing traditional work with a lot of heavy, thick lines. It should lay down one pass lines with no problem when set to the correct voltage. As it does have that 5-watt motor, you need to run at a higher voltage to get the same RPM as other machines we've reviewed. Heavy. My nickname for this one is the spinny flashlight. In fact, if it's not turning on when you plug it in, you probably need to spin it. Okay, let's see how the CNC MX1 performs on the fake skin. CNC MX1 skin test. So this one does not have an internal battery, and we'll need the power supply using a Bronc power supply. We should fix our needle depth here. For this one, you have to hold. So the CNC MX1 I call the spinny flashlight for a couple reasons. First, it just looks like a flashlight. And it is pretty heavy, like some of these newer, nicer, high lumen flashlights on the market. Anyway, this is not a flashlight review. This is a rotary pen review. So it turns and spins in all direction freely, and that does not affect your needle depth. To change your needle depth, you have to hold the red strip and turn the machine. It's a little tricky to hold this part only. It's not that thick of an area. You can see my finger, it's only like a third of my finger width. It's rather quiet though. Start at the 8.4. You can tell the motor's stronger just when you turn it on. And now we can change our needle depth here. Yeah, the needle depth is a little finicky on the CNC MX1, honestly. Like spinning it and it's not. Cartridges in. Don't need to touch that. And there's nothing to change internally. And the cartridge is protruding for some reason. There, it went in. Okay. So a little finicky. I remember a couple times going on and off here. It wouldn't turn on too, and then you have to give it a little tug or spin to get it going. Good motor though, sounds nice. All right, let's try it. This is at an 8.4. This is a bigger motor, so I'm expecting this to not be a good line. And then you got a very blotchy line at an 8.4 with this one. It needs more power because it's got a bigger motor. It's got a 5-watt motor. Let's try 9.4. Again, not the best line, but it is a 5-watt motor. 10.4. All right, we got our solid line. So there you have it, a good example of how a larger motor needs higher voltage to create that one-pass line. That's not abnormal. That does not mean there's something wrong with your machine. That means the motor is just bigger and requires that much more voltage to get a solid line. So if you are investing in a larger motor, a more expensive machine, just remember you're gonna wanna use those higher voltages. Pretty good, actually. I do like this machine. I think it tattoos really well. I could probably even go up from here to get a better line. Now I'm speeding up my hand a little bit, trying just to do a little free drawing of a fish here. Masterpiece, I'm gonna tell you. Yep, I think that's about the range. Just slow down your hand speed a little, keep it stable, get a better grip. Obviously I'm using all these without good grip and without my comfortable, what I would say, grip size, which would be a little bit thicker than this. Started at 6.5 like I did with the Q2. This is the MX1. 6.5 volts. Be a little lighter than it was to start out, I think. Makes sense, bigger motor. Well, it depends what you're going for, I guess. It's a little darker now. Worked down a little bit, but still came out darker than a little bit of work on this one. Probably turn it up a couple more volts for the stippling. That's my understanding. It's better, slightly higher voltage than the whip shade. 3 round liner. See how it's getting in there. This is not. So lots of ways to do stippling and tattooing. I can definitely now see a difference between these two and that one. Next up, we have the CNC MX1. Here's a good example of how the CNC MX1 was just turned on, but is not moving. Here we go. Hence my nickname, the spinny flashlight. For a spinny flashlight, sure gets the job done. Beautiful. I'm liking this thing more and more. I like the weight of it. All right. And here we are at the final machine, and my personal favorite for stippling and shading, the EZTAT2 Dagger X. This machine is the perfect balance between power and size, in my personal opinion. It weighs just 122 grams and is the shortest machine at only 93 millimeters in length. It fits really well in my hand, feels very comfortable. A silicone grip makes it a little bit easier to hold, and it slides instead of clicks for needle depth. The Dagger X has something in common with the CNC Q2 in that they both have the German Faulhaber motor. Although the Dagger Faulhaber motor is considered to be the top Faulhaber motor, and the CNC Q2, well, the Faulhaber motor in the Dagger X is definitely more quiet than the Faulhaber motor in the CNC Q2. Causes less vibration, probably because of the materials that are used to make the motor, and I think also the fact that they have the silicone grip kind of absorbs some of the vibration. But just, you can hear it in the quality. The motor on the Dagger X is clearly superior to the CNC Q2, although they are both the German Faulhaber motor. It also has a very soft, like clicking sound when the cartridge is put in the right spot, which just gives me some kind of auditory feedback that helps me know that the cartridge is placed firmly in the right spot and won't fall out when I turn it on or something worse than that. The needle depth is controlled by a smooth turn versus a click on some of these other ones. So 1 out of 4 has this smooth turning needle depth technology, which I think is a superior design. I will show you the clicking sound when I put a cartridge in here. And we try it out on the skin. So last but not least, we have our skin test for the Dagger X. Now let me show you why I love the Dagger X. Besides the fact that it has a very strong motor, we can't find the exact wattage, but it's probably a 4-watt motor just in the way that it performs and the voltage range that it's capable of. Let me show you why I like the Dagger X, one of the reasons. Did you hear that clicking sound? That clicking sound was just nice, reassuring sound to let me know that, yes, that cartridge is properly inserted. Another feature of the Dagger X, needle depth. Nice sound on that thing, huh? See our needle depth here, control. Sliding one way, sliding out. You can't see that, but it is very efficient, going in and out nicely. Not much messing with. So we're gonna start at that 8.4. Yep, it is a bigger motor, so we are not getting a good pass at 8.4. We got less pass at 8.4 with the Dagger X than any other one. That kind of tells me that this might be the strongest motor of the 4. So let's see. I know maybe I was going a little fast. I don't know. Let's see if I can fix it. And I have to go really slow. Really slow. And even then, nope, not getting it. Okay, so take it up to 9.4. Let's see what it does there. Okay, I'm not even gonna mess with that. I can tell we need to take it up to 10.4. This motor barely sounds like it's struggling. Not even. It barely sounds like it's working at all. This might be the right voltage. I probably just messed up that line, but I'm gonna turn it up just a bit more to 11. I just want to see what we got here. Let's go lower. Let's do 10 volts with a little more pressure. Let's see if maybe it's just some pressure, because this is a lighter weight pen here, so I think more pressure is required to get the line, which is one of the advantages of the MX1, because it's a little heavier. You probably don't have to push or use as much resistance with your hand to get that good line. A little better. Let's try 11. Just trying to hold it a little firmer, not trying to go too deep, but just hold the pen itself firmer. Yeah, so I got a better pass at 11. It feels a little unsteady. I would like to go at, a faster hand rate and get a good line. So I've got to hold this pretty firmly to get a good line. All these voltages will probably be lower on actual skin, but how can I make the Dagger X a little heavier? Well, let's try adding this battery and see if that helps me get a better line. It's pushing back. I can feel it pushing back. It was much easier to get the line I wanted. Okay, so I just drew these 2 lines, one with the battery, one just plugged in, both at 11 volts. As you can see, the line on the left side here looks much darker, and it was much easier to make that line. Whereas the one on the right here it's a little choppy in some areas, especially right here where, the movement of your hand changes and there's some give involved there. But anyway, right here it looks a little lighter, and that's because the needles are basically pushing back against the surface at my hand without the battery, and the weight of the tool is not heavy enough, I guess, to stay consistent in the silicone. It's probably easier on skin, but that's what's going on here. Basically, if you want a better line, go with the battery added to the Dagger X. This is my preferred Hawink battery because of the size and weight distribution and angle of it. Also, I like the display better, and there's more increments in the voltage. So yeah, definitely a better everything there. So worth it to spend a little more money on a better battery. Don't worry if it's the bigger one, it's probably gonna last longer, and you attach it to the dagger for better performance on lining. So let's play around a little bit. Okay, last but not least, we have the Dagger X here, and we're gonna try a little whip shade starting at 6.5. That's a nice whip shade. There we go. All right. Okay, and for stippling, let's turn up to a 7.4, slightly higher than with the whip shade. All right, so we did some whip shade. And finally, the Dagger X. So shading generally can be performed at lower voltages, so the performance of these machines will be similar in this regard. It should be, since we don't have to rely on those higher voltages to get the job done. However, I'm sure the skin penetration will be different. Much darker on the far right. It's 6.5 volts all the way across. We did the brushy side shading here, turning the mag on its side. The second one here on all of them is the cross hatching. As you can see, it got a lot darker over here on the right. Okay, so now with all the testing on the fake skin out of the way, I do have some thoughts about longevity. I do predict that the better motors, such as the Dagger X and the CNC MX1, will last longer because of their more powerful motors, and these two probably will give out sooner. Having said that, the price is lower on these two, so worst case scenario, you buy another one. So of these four, the loudest with the most vibration is the CNC Q2. My guess is that it would probably not last as long as some of these other ones. The Mast, we don't really know the quality of the motor, although it is quieter, and it seems a little more powerful than the CNC Q2. So it should be a good tool for some of those middle range projects that don't require a lot of deep blacks or a lot of thick lining. But who knows? It could do all those things great. Who knows how long it would last doing those things. But again, that's an all-in-one pen, and you can't go wrong with that purchase. The spinny flashlight over here is a powerful pen. I think this one would last a long time. The motor sounds beautiful. It's rather heavy and fumbly for me to use, so personally wouldn't keep it. The next one over that has a similar power and a smaller package is that Dagger X. So you're gonna get the strongest motor, the most comfortable feel, and the lightest weight for the power of the motor in that choice. If you're really up to some serious tattooing, you should invest a little bit more money and get a more higher priced machine that has more power, better quality, and motors that should last a long time with proper maintenance. There you have it. That's all our tests on these 4 tattoo pens, all of which you can find on Amazon. If you click on the links below, it does help out the channel a bit. I have a few other product recommendations down there as well. Let me know what y'all think about these tattoo pens down in the comments, any experience you've had yourself or questions you'd like answered. Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, smash that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye!